Let me guess, you felt like a fraud at some point in your life. Maybe it was when you got that promotion, or when someone complimented your work, or when you accomplished something you'd been working toward for years. Instead of feeling proud, you felt like you'd somehow tricked everyone. Like it was just a matter of time before people realized you had no idea what you were doing. Welcome to imposter syndrome, that delightful mental pattern where you believe you're a fraud despite evidence to the contrary. It's like having a really mean roommate in your head who constantly undermines your achievements. You just got lucky. Anyone could have done that. They're just being nice. If they really knew you, they'd be disappointed. Sound familiar? Yeah, I thought so. Here's what's interesting about imposter syndrome. It's incredibly common among high achievers. The more successful you are, the more likely you are to feel like a fraud. Which seems backward, right? Shouldn't success make you feel more confident, not less? I used to think my imposter feelings were a sign that something was wrong with me, that I wasn't cut out for success, that I should probably step back before someone discovered I was a fraud. But then I learned something that completely changed my perspective. Imposter syndrome isn't a sign that you're failing. It's a sign that you're growing. Let me explain. When you're operating within your comfort zone, doing things you've mastered and are familiar with, you don't feel like an imposter. You feel competent because you are competent. There's no gap between your experience and your challenges. But when you push beyond your comfort zone, taking on new responsibilities, entering new environments, reaching new levels, suddenly there's a gap. The challenges you're facing are beyond what you've mastered before, and that gap creates imposter feelings. In other words, imposter syndrome doesn't mean you're not good enough. It means you're pushing yourself beyond what you've already proven you can do. It's not a bug, it's a feature of growth. This realization was transformative for me. Instead of seeing my imposter feelings as a warning sign that I should retreat, I started seeing them as confirmation that I was expanding my capabilities. They became a growth indicator, almost like the soreness you feel after a good workout. It doesn't mean you're weak, it means you're getting stronger. So, how do you work with imposter syndrome rather than being paralyzed by it? I've developed what I call the imposter reframe method, and it's changed how I experience these feelings entirely. Here's how it works. First, recognize imposter feelings when they arise. Learn to spot the thoughts. I don't deserve this. I'm not qualified. They're going to find out I don't know what I'm doing. Don't try to suppress these thoughts. Just notice them. Second, remind yourself of the growth equation. Comfort zone plus new challenges equals imposter feelings. Your brain is simply registering the gap between what you've mastered and what you're attempting. That's normal and necessary for growth. Third, and this is crucial, collect evidence. Imposter syndrome thrives on selective memory. You remember your mistakes and forget your successes. Counter this by keeping a success journal where you document positive feedback, achievements, and problems you've solved. Review it regularly, especially before challenging situations. Fourth, adopt a growth identity rather than a fixed one. Instead of thinking, I'm not good enough, try, I'm not good enough yet. Instead of, I don't know how to do this, try, I'm learning how to do this. This subtle shift acknowledges the gap while also acknowledging your capacity to close it. Finally, practice strategic vulnerability. Share your imposter feelings with trusted people. You'll be shocked to discover how many successful people feel exactly the same way. This normalizes the experience and reduces its power over you. What makes this approach so effective is that it works with your psychology rather than against it. You're not trying to eliminate imposter feelings. That's a losing battle. You're reframing them as useful data about your growth trajectory. When I started practicing the imposter reframe method, something interesting happened. The feelings didn't disappear, but they stopped controlling me. I could notice them, acknowledge them, even thank them for the information they were providing, and then continue moving forward. The quality of my work improved because I was no longer paralyzed by self-doubt or overcompensating to prove myself. I could focus on the task at hand rather than on managing my insecurities. Now, I'm not saying you'll never feel like a fraud again. I still do sometimes. But the difference is now I see those feelings as signposts on my growth journey, not warning signs that I should turn back. I went from being controlled by imposter syndrome to using it as a growth metric. The world isn't going to stop presenting you with challenges that make you feel out of your depth. As you succeed, you'll be given bigger responsibilities, harder problems, and higher expectations. But you don't have to let imposter feelings hold you back from embracing these opportunities. So the next time you feel like a fraud, remember, that feeling isn't evidence that you don't belong. It's evidence that you're growing into a new level of capability. And that's not something to fear, it's something to celebrate. If you found this helpful, hit subscribe for more no BS advice on emotional clarity. I post new videos every week that cut through the fluff and give you actual tools you can use. And if you've struggled with imposter syndrome or have your own techniques for managing it, drop them in the comments below. I read every comment, and I'm always looking for new perspectives to share. Until next time, remember, feeling like an imposter doesn't mean you are one. It means you're brave enough to grow beyond what's comfortable.